Elden Ring. Yes, the game that was on everybody's minds at the beginning of the year and is going to be up for Game of the Year guaranteed. I was asked a while ago on what my thoughts were on Elden Ring, so I thought I would give you some baseline feelings of what I actually have about this game from my perspective of someone who doesn't really play Souls games at all, and even with Elden Ring, I haven't really got that much into it, but I'm going to give you some baseline thoughts and opinions. Obviously, if you disagree with what I'm saying, that's 100% your prerogative. Let me know in the comments of why. I'll give you the positives and the negatives of what my experience has been. I've only played around about 10 hours, so that's all I'll let you know of. So yeah, let's jump straight into this. Now, one of the best things about this game, in my opinion, is the freedom mechanics and how you feel just the drive to explore all the time. At least in my opinion, that is one of the best factors of this game. I've only spent, like I said, 10 hours in this game, and I've only explored Limgrave and some other areas. Obviously, I've been teleported around the map and that sort of thing. However, almost the entire time that I've played, I've hardly encountered many like proper boss fights. However, I just feel the need to explore. I love just walking around the game, and I feel like there's always something new to uncover around every single corner, and there's something literally next to no game has ever done for me. Because one thing that this game does really well out of everything is that it just doesn't tell you where anything is, which is actually something that I do really like about the UI design. There is a negative that I do have for the UI, which I will mention in a minute. However, when it comes to it, one thing that I really like is in comparison to, let's say, something like Assassin's Creed, where you know exactly where all the enemies are all the time because they're either on your map or every single location of their encampments, for example, are on a map, so you basically look at it as a tick box game instead of an actual exploring the open world that they've designed for you to explore. When you explore in Elden Ring, you walk into dungeons, for example, or you walk into sewers, you walk into chasms, all these different things, and you're just amazed with being like, why was this behind this corner? Why is this here? Why is this here? Let's go fight this boss. Everything feels just in the correct space, even though it's always surprising, at least to me. And in comparison to, let's say, the only other game that I can say that has a like in-between of Assassin's Creed and Elden Ring would be Skyrim to me. However, even Skyrim, I'd say, is at a big flaw in comparison to Elden Ring, because where Elden Ring tells you literally nothing about where things are located, Skyrim tells you where caves are on your little compass, for example. However, besides that, you already know 95% of the time that if you're walking towards a cave, if you're walking towards a ruin, if you're walking towards a village, there is a highly likely chance that you're walking towards enemy territory. Or at least, especially with the caves, 99% of the time, the only time you're entering a cave is because there's an enemy there to fight. The next and last positive that I've got about this game currently is due to the actual combat system and why I actually kind of like it, based off of my limited time anyway. Which I know I'll get some flack from the hardcore Souls community, but because I've hardly touched Souls games for two different reasons. One reason being I hate playing games that are just difficult for the sake of being difficult, and I prefer a good story game over something that's going to be a challenging experience for generally no valuable reason. And the next reason is that I have a short temper generally, so I'd rather avoid making myself irritated by a game. Now though, this combat system actually feels like you learn at a very good pace in this game, and with the ability of just being able to run around and explore wherever you want for the first area of this game especially, you just kind of can improve your skills over time just exploring and enjoying yourself. Versus my very small amount of experience that I had in Dark Souls 3, where I just remember running and fighting the same boss for about 3 hours and dying repeatedly and failing. To be fair to myself, I was like, I think 13 or 14 at the time, so give me some slack, Souls players, please. But yeah, overall, I actually really enjoy the combat system. I think it works very well and utilizes the open world quite well to bring in people who aren't used to the Souls community's version of combat into a light where, you know what, it is actually bearable. I've got two main things I actually have that I don't really like about this game right now, or at least from my limited experience I don't like, which is the lack of story that you can learn on a surface level, and also the questing system. Now I'll expand on both of these, but I want to actually explain real quick that obviously I'm coming from someone who plays, you know, like the general basics of RPG games, that sort of thing. So I love The Witcher, I love Skyrim, I enjoyed Oblivion, I play a few other games out there, but when it comes to it, obviously, I don't mind the level of handholding that some games give you, but I dislike the overbearing handholding that you get within, let's say, Assassin's Creed games. So I can actually find great value from the fact that Elden Ring gives you so much exploration. However, I do wish that there was a journal system within the game. And what I mean by this is just something simple that, for example, when you talk to someone, I've honestly spoken to quite a few different characters in Elden Ring, and half the time, I don't know if I'm actually being given quests, and the only reason why I know that some characters are quest givers is literally because when I'm watching a video, for example, about Elden Ring, they're telling me, oh, go to this character to do a quest. And I'm like, I talked to that guy, I don't remember him giving me a quest. But in this game, I would just like a journal entry where it would at least tell you what the person has said. I don't want it to even tell me, okay, go do this, here's a pinpoint on your map to go do it. I don't even want that. All I would want, from my personal experience anyway, and what I would like to see anyway, would just be a journal entry that would say simply, this person you spoke to said this to you, and it will literally be an exact word for word of what they've said to you, and then that way you could basically just go off of what they've told you, and you can still experience the game in the exact same manner, but with a system to at least track it to a degree. And my next criticism with this game is the story. Honestly, it isn't because the story is awful, it's just that you don't learn lots off of like the basic surface level, and whenever you talk to people about this game, they never really tell you that the story is the main highlight of the game. Now, one of the big things that I find really odd about this game is that it was co-written with George R.R. Martin, or at least he came in to help with some areas of it. To me, I don't know what he actually did. I've read the first Game of Thrones book, I've watched the whole of the Game of Thrones show, and I've enjoyed House of the Dragon for what we've seen so far. And honestly, I don't see where he's put effort into it. I don't really know. And to be honest, ever since the game released, it hasn't really felt like his name's been brought up that often. It's as if they kind of realised, at least to me, that they realised that the story was very much lacking in comparison to the other areas of the game. They kind of took a massive backseat to really trying to push the idea of George R.R. Martin was part of our game. This game, for some reason, decided to take maybe like a Metal Gear / Destiny approach to a game, which really confused me. Now, Destiny, I'd say it's more close to Destiny than it would be towards Metal Gear. Metal Gear is just a confusing plotline, but if you play the games, it does explain to you during the game of kind of what's going on, why you're doing different things. But with Destiny, a lot of the plot with Destiny, yeah, you get told some of it, but for a very long period of time, you had to go to an external website to read grimoire cards that would then tell you what is happening. And to be honest, when it comes to the story that you know of about Elden Ring when you start the game, it is basically just a load of demigods killed a god or a demigod, I believe, from the top of my head. I haven't played the game in like the last couple of weeks. I've had a few weeks away from it because I've been focusing on other things. But basically, they do this, they get this, they then break up this ring, and then now you're going to be the one to reunite the parts of the ring and become the Elden Lord. That is what I know. It's a very baseline thing of basically being like, here's the hero's journey, go do it. That's basically the approach that I've got from the vibe that I've played. But if you want to learn anything about why these characters are the way they are, or what backstory the game truly has, you end up having to watch YouTube videos explaining it to you. However, for a guy who wrote The Song of Ice and Fire, helped out on the Game of Thrones TV show, and the House of the Dragon, I don't really understand what From Software did with him. Whenever I was asking my friends about this game, as I was actually really interested in it, because obviously there was a lot of hype built around it, what it actually had to offer, all I ever got was, it's great, and then when I'd ask them to kind of expand on that, all I'd ever get met with is, well, the story, or the combat is great, or the world is amazing. All the answers that I ever got about the game, especially at the time of the game's release, felt like it's great because it's the game that everyone's talking about right now. I haven't played the game enough to give you a full classified opinion of what I feel about everything, so you may see a video in the future of me coming back to this game and giving you a different view on what I've said in this video. However, for now, that is my honest opinion of Elden Ring. If you disagree with me, that's fair enough. I can completely understand. I'm fine with that. Let me know in the comments down below what you think I should do in Elden Ring to kind of basically start exploring it a little bit more. I've honestly really enjoyed the world exploration part of the game, but right now I had to honestly stop playing the game to not get addicted to it. I was enjoying jumping on and just going around the world so much that I could tell I was like, if I continue and let myself do this, I'm definitely not going to be making videos for a while. I'm definitely not going to be wanting to do anything but this for a while. So for now, I've had to let it take a backseat until eventually I decide to do a video essay on it, which is then when I'll allow myself to jump on and play it as much as I want to get that video essay sorted. Now, hopefully you guys did enjoy this video. If you did, make sure to leave a like, do subscribe for more content coming in the future, all of it being gaming content, some other things sprinkled in there, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Have a good one.